Ladies and gentlemen, I am Rufus Beale, and welcome to another edition of Talking To. I am the host, and we would like to welcome each and every one of you. This is the Facebook and the YouTube live version of Talking To, and we have our other two hosts today, Joanne Toson Fuller and Justin Hearn. Good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
So, how is everyone today on this beautiful sunny Sunday?
Awesome.
Awesome. Doing well. Definitely glad to be here. I've been absent for a couple weeks, but I'm here back like I never left. So
We
I'm excited and glad to be here for sure.
So
Yes.
Joanne and I put out a PPV, or is it PPV? PPV.
Like, where is he?
Where is he? How about that? We put out a where is he?
Where are you?
Right.
We missed you.
Yeah, we missed you greatly.
Missed
We know
you.
that
You guys were definitely missed. You guys definitely missed.
you were out doing what it is that you need to do to keep us all protected and safe
Yes.
and sound here in the city of Detroit.
Yes.
Um, well, we're going to start with you, Justin. Since you are a dad, how did you spend your Father's Day?
Father's Day was amazing. So Father's Day started with a brunch, like a catered brunch, and later ended with it was my wife's cousin friend. It was her birthday, so it was like we kind of like went out, something I haven't done in a long time. So it
Okay.
was cool. It was really nice. I definitely felt loved, appreciated, and honored as a father. So it was dope.
That's very good. I
Awesome.
know that you're deserving of all that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Joanne, how was your week?
It was different. It was my brother lost his, I mean my brother, my husband lost his sister this week. So that was, it was kind of on a
Oh,
sad note. Yeah, yeah, it had happened really fast, unexpectedly. So that was, but everybody's doing okay. Everybody's
good.
doing okay. Yeah.
Well, that's good. You have
Yeah.
our love and sympathy during these times to you and
Thank
Greg,
you. Thank
to
you.
full of family.
Yes.
Well, Justin, we have a great show, Joanne, today, and
I,
we have been talking about the election,
Mhm.
and we had Reggie Rich Davis on a couple of weeks ago talking about Proposal P and some other things that's going on citywide, various positions that are open in city council for the mayor, the city clerk. People are running, and there are a lot of the incumbents that will not be returning.
Right.
However, there are going to be new faces in old places,
all
Mhm.
right.
and
I like that.
and we have a very special guest today, a candidate for the Detroit City Council of the race. And Joanne, you would like to introduce our special guest, please?
Yes, as we were talking about the elections coming up, and this young man, I have um, known him or have seen him and seen some of his work, seen um, how he operates, and I thought, oh, he would be excellent to come on the show to talk about um, what his plans are for the city of Detroit, because now he is running for city council with all the things that he has done. Now he's running for city council, and I thought he would be excellent to have on the show today, so that and I live District 4. So, that's my district. So I thought, I'll reach out to him and see if he could come on the show. And he was like, sure. I reached to his contact person, and he was like, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make this happen. So today we have on the show Toson Knight. And Toson is a Detroit bred champion tackling the moral, academic, and intellectual growth in Detroit's young people. Mr. Knight is president and founder of Caught Up Mentoring Program. Toson has worked tirelessly in each of his roles to create a safe community, establish positive relationships, and develop a process of ongoing support for youth. His enthusiasm and depth of knowledge regarding young people make him a rarity in the city of Detroit. Toson demonstrates leadership and commitment Through his unique ability to think outside the box and willingness to take risks to produce the best nurturing environment for young men in our community. Mr. Knight is helping bridge the gap between the at-risk youth population and positive community members by using an innovative approach to cultivate and maintain relationships with students in East Detroit. Saturday Night Live, Project Reentry, and Project Empower are all initiatives spearheaded by Toson in an effort to empower youth to overcome obstacles, network, and cultivate individual talent. Mr. Knight has been celebrated for a number of achievements, including serving 2 consecutive years as president of the student body government, featured in Black Magazine, recognized by Operation Reach Back for reaching back and helping others. Mr. Knight is a product of several public schools. He received a Bachelor of Arts degree from Oakwood University and a Master's Educational Leadership from the University of Michigan. He served as a deputy manager for District 4 for the mayor's office, where he was responsible for working with community organizations, businesses, and religious groups on fighting blight, lowering crime, and handling citizen complaints. Mr. Knight currently serves as Dean of Culture for Detroit Public Schools at Western International High School. And I'm telling you, this man is busy. And I met him through his group Caught Up, his young men's group. I've supported that group. And it's an awesome group. And we also served on some boards together. And so I just want to introduce to some and bring back to others, Mr. Toson Knight.
Well, welcome, Toson Knight.
Thank you. I really appreciate you all having me here. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Always good to be known on good terms. You feel me?
Yes. Yes. So I'm telling you, with all the things that you are doing, Toson, what made you decide to run for city council?
Yeah, it's so much that I've been involved in the community. And that's why I tell people, everybody can say like, hey, I did this before, but I've really been involved in the community for so long. And just seeing, I work with young people on a daily basis. And one day just taking them home, you see some of the struggles of Detroit. You see the issues with speeding. You see the issues with their parents not having, enough money to take care of their needs. You see the homes in disrepair for a lot of people. And you wonder, like, how can you make this city a better place? And I saw those things and I really want to find a way to resolve them and have solutions. And I believe that I'm the only one. I tell people, if you want to look at somebody who's got stuff done on a consistent basis in this race, that's going to be me. I've always get stuff done. I don't really do a lot of talking. I really like to get stuff done. That's why I'm running for city council.
Awesome. So with the group Caught Up, you feel like this was basically just your next step. This is something that you had to do, because the Caught Up group, can you explain to people what it is and why you started that group?
Yeah, I always tell people, like, that's just a testimony and a blessing in itself. We started with zero, like, seriously, like, I had no money. I have to make that very plain, because people we built that organization from the ground up. I cannot explain to you the blessings that we have received. So first off, to be very clear, we had no kids, no money. And like I always tell parents, the way our program has grown is through word of mouth. That means kids telling other kids about what we're doing. And so over the past 5 years, we've been able to get over 50 kids in college. We've been able to raise $500,000. And we have also been able to get our own center where we take the kids. I remember it was just like a Saturday night, taking them to the Samaritan Center, getting 30 to 40 kids. It was just like, wow. But now we have our own location where we take them to basketball, movie room, game room, computer lab, and a kitchen, and gym for them to play. So it's like we always have been working so hard to make sure our kids have an opportunity. So we work with incarcerated juveniles. We go to the juvenile centers every Sunday, work with kids who's about to get out of prison. The second thing we do is we work with at-risk youth in the neighborhood. We go pick them up, bring them to our center, work with them on different issues. And the biggest thing that I think I love and proud of is getting kids to college, taking kids out of the hood and making sure that they have a better environment, a better place to go, and they can be successful in life.
Awesome. I have a question. So I hear somebody who's worked as a youth pastor for many years and working with youth and in kind of the same roles. I think that one of the things that I've always faced when it came to going to a different church or speaking a different church was I kind of got locked into this youth box, right? Like almost like I only could preach to youth almost, like, which wasn't the case. So, hearing your background, hearing how you care about kids, you work in education, tell us how your love for children in that way, how's that going to translate to city council when we're talking about business deals, we're talking about proposals, we're talking about different things like that. How is that going to translate? Because I want to give you opportunity to answer that for the people that's saying, okay, you know what, you're good for the youth. Maybe you should be the director of youth for the city, but how are your passion and what you've been doing to translate to actually running a district for community, for people?
Yeah, man, that's a wonderful question. I'm glad you asked that.
Yes.
One of the things I'll say is that, so yeah, I do get in that box. Like, oh, you're just a youth person. But let me just give you a little more of my experience. I work for a program also as well called Ceasefire. So Ceasefire works with gun violence victims across the city. So anytime there is a issue in the city where as it relates to gun violence, we respond. And we comfort the families. We provide resources for them. I also have worked in the mayor's office for 5 years. I worked as a deputy district manager in the district where I'm running for city council in. So that means I've been able to get houses torn down, speed bumps put in. I've been able to get make sure that we address people concerns that they have throughout the neighborhoods. I've done that. I did that for about 5 years, and that's how I know all the neighborhood leaders and things like that. And also, overall, it's just like you said, like when you think about like proposals and things to be put in place, I've also worked as a legislative aide for the city council before. So I'm very familiar with how these things go. And I'll be excited to hit the ground running. I know for a fact how city council works. I also know how the city works. And like I tell people, if you're looking for somebody that knows the system, that knows how to get things done, and also is an advocate and it will work for you, I'm your guy. And I think that's very important to know.
I want to tell everybody that you're experiencing talking to Joanne Toson Fuller. Justin Her and I am Rufus Bill, and our very special guest is Toson Knight, who is the candidate for Detroit City Council in District 4. And if you have any questions or concerns or comments, you can go right into our chat. We can see that, and we'll present these to the next City Council member, Mr. Knight, for District 4. So tell me this, Toson. Detroit is notorious for being known as where the elected officials are treated as celebrities. Many of the elected officials that are in office now have returned to office not because of their work, but because of name recognition, which is very, very popular and very heavy in this city. How will you, or how are you going to circumvent that and getting your message out?
Yeah. So I don't think that's a Detroit thing. I think that's just to everybody.
You think it's everybody?
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody. I mean, if they don't know you, they can't vote for you. They're not. Oh, let me go. This person seems more like nah. People go by the name that they recognize, the name that they see the most, and that's very important. I think that's just real. So, but what I've done is because working with people, we are running against some very popular people. that's in the city. And so
Yes.
I've done the grassroots route. Go knock on every single door. If you drive around District 4, you'll see my yard sign. Some people are starting to pick them up a little bit. They're seeing too many of them. But for the most part, you see my yard signs across the district. You see them not only in major areas of the district, but you see them down the streets, because I've been there to speak to a lot of these people. I hear their concerns. People wonder, like, why do you send out your mailers this way? It's because I know how and what people are looking for in the next city council person. I've been to their doors. I've spoken to them. I'm on my second round across the district. So I'm telling you right now, I think the thing that's going to help me get over is that I've been able to have conversations on a consistent basis with residents in the city of Detroit. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about getting out there and knocking doors. And I do that every chance I get. As soon as I get off of here, I'm going to get out there before it starts raining and continue to knock doors. And I think that's the most important piece you can do right now in this small race.
And that's good that you're engaged with the people. You know, one of the concerns here in the city of Detroit is the level of crime. Can you hear me clearly, everybody?
I can hear you good.
All right. Is the level of crime. And you know, in the past 6 to 8 months, there's been a lot of conversation about defunding the police department. That's even had storylines in the series The Shy about defunding the police station, the police department. Where do you stand on that issue?
Yeah,
and why?
Great question. You know, I think that one of the things that, as I stated, talking to the residents of the city of Detroit, they don't want to see the police department defunded. They actually want to see more resources and money put into the police department. And so I think that's very important to know. A lot of people, I noticed that a lot of groups, they take agendas and they run with them, but I don't know if they have the support of the people. And I know, and if you go talk to most residents in the city, they don't believe that now. And I believe that one thing that I love about the city of Detroit is that we've been able to work with the citizens as relates to the police department. The police department does not have that contentious relationship that a lot of other police departments have with their city. And that's because of the neighborhood police officers. That's also because of the program we started. I started a program a few years back with police called the Brotherhood. That's where the police officers mentor young people. Police officers mentoring young people in the neighborhood. How important is that? How serious is that for police officers? And I'll give you a quick story about that really quick. I remember one of our kids got killed. One of our kids got killed. It was about a year ago, May 31st. And so, and I'll never forget, like, some of the kids that are in that program, they were like really upset, frustrated, angry. A lot of them, you know, they were drinking, they had guns. And these same police officers that was a part of this mentoring program, that they were the ones that came out and talked to them. And they were able not only to take their guns and allow them to go home, but they also took them home, you know, and gave them that safe place. Instead of coming there, getting to a shootout with them, arresting them and doing things, they were the ones who stepped up to work with them and get those kids home safely. And I think that's so important. And I believe that the relationships with the police department are very important, and we must continue to build upon that.
So I'm glad we went there. I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually a Detroit police officer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what I want to ask is, as it relates to what is your, so it's no secret that the Detroit Police Department is the hardest working department in this state, second to none. I don't think nobody in this state get the calls that we get answered. You know, I mean, just your day is just it's crazy. I mean, we do a lot, we handle a lot, we see a lot. However, when you look around at our suburban partners, we are one of the worst paid in the state of Michigan. How do you feel about that? And what type of initiative are you willing to go? Are you willing to go to bat so that we can definitely keep the good officers that we have, but more importantly than keeping we have is new recruitment. Where do you stand at that? And is that something that you're looking forward to working on, or where you stand on that?
Yeah, you know, I know the past few years, I know the mayor has worked on giving increases to the Detroit Police Department. I believe that's very paramount into keeping good police officers here. If you look at it, there are a lot of officers who they get trained here and then they end up leaving. And a lot of people they want to find laws and stuff to prevent that. And I agree, we should prevent that because we did the training. But at the same time, how can we keep them here? And one of the ways is by making sure they get paid. And make sure they get paid a good salary. And I also believe that Detroit police is in a unique situation where there's also a lot of room for promotion. There's a lot of room to make more money. I know, if you're a sergeant, you might be making the same amount as a regular police officer in a suburban city, but you're getting more experience. If you want to go into leadership, you'll be a better candidate for a leadership position. And I think those things also need to be brought out as well. There's a benefit to staying with the Detroit Police Department. But I totally agree with you that we need to find ways to make sure that we are improving the salaries of not only the Detroit police officers, but the Detroit firefighters and the other city workers. And of course, I'm going to do that within the constraints of the budget, because at the same time, we don't want to go back to bankruptcy. We don't want to not be able to meet our pension obligations. So of course, while it's easy to sit here and say, hey, yes, everybody deserves a raise, everybody should get money, we have to also look at where our budget sits and how we address that overall as it relates to the entire city and our needs.
Okay, one more question I gotta throw in there because you mentioned this. My dad, who did 30 years for Detroit Police Department, retired in 2007. Him amongst others, because of bankruptcy and because of the mishandling of the city, people are given 30, 40 years to life and are retiring with no health insurance. My dad lost his health insurance during the bankruptcy, as well as if I decided to retire, even as a sergeant or whatever, there's no retirement. There's no retirement for me. This is a huge issue, especially because the longer we live, the older we get. More naturally, the more things start to break down with our bodies and medicine and different things like that. So where do you stand on this issue of restoring healthcare for city workers, but not only the current ones, but people like my dad who gave 30 years to this city and now doesn't have any health insurance or has to pay for it, out of pocket in other ways. And I think that's really it's highway robbery, man. To work anywhere, give your time, put your life on the line, and retire and not have health insurance
and not be valued.
That makes is no way. I feel like there's no way we should not be able to retire without health insurance. There's no way possible. So where do you stand on that?
And I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying before. That happened during the bankruptcy, and we don't want to ever get back to that position again, where people are losing their health care, where they're losing a part of their pension. And these are things that people worked for all of their life, and to just find out with one swoop of a bankruptcy pen by a judge that these things are no longer able to happen. And I think that goes back to important about management as relates to the city and making sure that we manage our funds correctly and making sure that we use our budget. There's something huge I don't know a lot of people are talking about, but the city needs to make a $211 million payment to the pension fund. That's coming up in 2024, that $211 million. And after that, there's going to be subsequent payments of that amount. The city budget is $1 billion. So imagine 211 of that is going to go to the pension fund. So we need to find ways to make sure that we're either bringing in more money so we'll be able to cover these funds and also be able to restore healthcare. But again, we have to do that in the constraints of the budget we have right now. And I was talking to a guy the other day. I went to his house, and one of the things he was just really frustrated with was like, I don't even have healthcare, man. He was like, I'm working just to make sure that I'll be able to take care of my family until my son goes to college. I don't even have healthcare when I retire, and that scares him the most. And I think we need to find ways to address that within the city, and we also need to find ways to figure out just a better plan to get people health insurance.
Okay, sweet. And switching gears, and nobody have another question. I feel like I'm firing them off.
You firing them off? You're making up for lost time.
Right, lost time. So kind of switching gears. I read an article the other day. I'm still a newspaper junkie, and I think what I read said something like the Supreme Court has agreed to hear this whole city charter thing. So how do you, so I don't know if everybody is understands, what the city charter is. So I think you could explain that, and then I think you could far greater explain why are they trying to revise it, rewrite it, and what do you think? You think it should be rewritten, revised, or you think it's perfect the way that it is? Where do you stand on that? And let's just, for people that don't know, let's get them up to date on what's this whole situation, because this is very important.
Tucson,
Yeah,
before
no,
you
for sure.
Tucson, before you answer that question, I think Justin was exercising his DPD authoritative authority. What do
Yeah,
you
I'm
feel
like,
about
yo,
that?
I underestimated the guy, but once I found
I
out he was a
know
police officer, I'm like, oh,
Hey.
oh, there we go.
our smoking gun.
I thought he was gonna give me questions to hit out the ballpark. Nah,
Hey,
nah,
look, I want
none
to
of
ask.
that.
I want to ask the questions that people are going to say because I heard that I'm gonna vote for him. That's
Yeah,
Right,
my
no, that
goal.
makes
right.
sense. Yeah,
Oh
But
yeah.
and
but
I'm
All
like,
along
right.
with that,
and honestly,
can you along with his question though, could because I guess a lot of that about that the charter about the proposal P, doesn't that all kind of go
it's
together?
all the same. Yep,
Yeah, it's
yep.
all the same. So there's so much controversy now about that. So if you can answer
Yeah.
or talk about that also.
And just to say, like what Justin was saying, like I appreciate these type of questions because I'm the type of person I like for people to know where I stand on these type of issues, and I think that is the most important piece. You have to know where people stand. There are individuals. I mean, that charter, of course, is a was approved by the city. The city approved to get the charter revised. That's how we got to this point. The city had a chance to vote. They said, "Do you want a new charter revised?" They said yes. We have individuals who have decided to revise the charter, and that has been through a very contentious process. I don't know if you all remember watching some of the meetings at the beginning, but there was like a lot of craziness going on. There were like little skirmishes a little bit. Somebody took the mic out somebody's hand, all type of crazy stuff. It was like crazy stuff going on
Yes,
with
it
that charter.
was. Yes, it
And then
was.
so now like we gotta, I just want to be real. So if you saw what I saw with those charter meetings, and now it's like a document, it's like I'm be honest with you, I'm not, I just have not been able to get fully behind it like people have. What I think is very important, they put a lot of stuff in the charter, and I'm gonna be honest with you, some of that stuff does not belong in the charter. They have the board of police commissioners, the city council, the mayor, like they don't even have a direct communication to where how the chief would report and deal. This is the chief of police. So, for example, if there's an issue, you want to know, the chief of police needs to know who his direct report is. He needs to know who is going to be giving him the orders. For example, when all the riots and things were happening in the protests, he needs to be able to speak to somebody, and that was the mayor. It's kind of misconstrued in the charter now. Like you don't understand that. They've also put in things where like, okay, free internet, free some things that do not belong in the charters there. Now, there are things that we need to make sure that we're addressing. They want to address a water affordability plan. I believe that we need to do a water affordability plan, but we need to also find a way to make sure that happens, as I stated before, within the constraints of the budget. Because if we continue to say that everything is going to be free, that's easy. I tell people all the time, like I'll be the terrible guy, but if everything's going to be free, then who's going to pay?
Thank you. Somebody has to.
Somebody got to pay. Somebody's going to have to take the L, as my young people would say. Somebody's going to take an L. So if everybody gets water free, everybody gets free Wi-Fi, everybody gets free summer jobs, this is all stuff they put in the charter. It's just like, you know what? And of course, like I said, there are things there that we need to look at. There are things there that we need to address, and that's important to me. They have, people are frustrated with the way the city is run. People are frustrated. They don't feel like everybody's getting their share. They don't feel like everybody's getting their fair share. So I understand where some of these concerns are coming from, but at the same time, you don't want to put something in place that's going to bankrupt the city. People say, "Oh yeah, the city needs to be bankrupt again." Like I said, we don't want to go there because we don't want to have that conversation again, just about, oh, we need to raise the police salary, or we're talking about cutting salaries again. We're talking about how we're going to pay for the pension. We don't need to get to those type of conversations again. I believe if we voted for that charter, we'll be back in that same predicament, and I can't support something like that.
One of our viewers, Tamika Sanford Timmons, she agrees with you. Says absolutely,
Yeah.
Miss Mr. Knight, that she's on board with what you're thinking and what you're feeling. You know that you're very involved with a lot of mentoring programs. You've had an inside look behind the scenes by being the district manager for Mayor Duggan. Because of your relationship with youth, how important is it that the city council or you as a city council member in District 4, Tosin Knight, remember him on the primary,
Tucson.
well, I'm sorry, Tucson. Tucson. I'm looking at you,
Hey,
Joanne.
hey, as long as you know it, it's good. As long as you got it.
And
I don't care
night,
how you pronounce it.
T night,
Just
T
check
night.
T Night, right?
See
So
that?
how important is it that you work with the DPS, and especially since you are a employee?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very important that you connect with that. As you stated, when you think about the young people and being able to fill that gap, there's a lot of things that we can do to make sure that they're like we're working together. One is like one of the things that I did when I worked for the mayor office was that I brought the police into the schools to have conversations with the young people so we can continue to still do things like that. I had the relationship with the young people, so it's easier for me to bring them into the schools and introduce them. Second thing I believe is that we must continue to find ways for our young people to have jobs and be able to train them at Detroit Public Schools. So there's some programs going on that now you can be trained as a EMS, a EMT person, and that's through Detroit Public Schools. And when you get out, you'll have a job with the city. So those things we must continue to do, and I'll always be an advocate for that. And anytime Detroit Public Schools call me for anything, they know I'll always be there to support and assist. And here's a big thing I also believe that can happen as relates to the schools is that some places there's a desert of recreation centers. We don't have a recreation center in District 4, but we do have a beautiful school, East English Village, with a pool, a beautiful gym. How do we create those relationships where we can say, you know what, we can use recreation staff or we can use volunteers to man the school to make sure they're not going in, vandalizing or stealing
Right.
things, but at the same time, allowing kids to have a place to go after school, a safe place. I think that's important.
I think last year, maybe not last year, before last, they included the houses of worship with
Yep.
trying to do that.
Yeah, and the schools a little bit too.
Schools a little bit. So that's a great solution to a problem. But as a lifelong resident of District 4, I would like to see, and I know we got Helmet.
That's not District 4 though.
That's not
So
District
no,
4. No, so it's not District
it's
4.
right across the street, but
Right
it's
across
not
the street, but okay. But I want to see a recreation center built in District 4. That's not a school. That's not a church. That is a recreation center. That is something that I think is important. I think it's something that needs to happen for the community because, you know, as I ran into a guy last night. I used to coach. I've been coaching basketball a long time. I ran into a guy I used to coach, and he kind of stated the impact that I had over his life, and it was like I was really stepped back and appalled, and like, oh my God, really? And it was just basketball. You know what I mean? But and I think back to my early coaches and different things like that. And so I think that something separate from school, something separate from the church, like we need a community center, we need a recreation center where kids can go, they can learn, all those tricks and just and become men, become young men and young women through sports and different things like that. So that is something that I would love to see. I don't know who, where, how, what, and when, but you say you got a track record of getting things done. So,
Yeah.
let's try to get it done. Let's try to get it done.
I agree. I think like you need a recreation center not only for the youth but also for senior citizens.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
Things to do
yes.
as well. Yeah, so I think that's very important. I would make sure that we push for that when I'm there. We're getting $800 million in ARP funds, so I believe we could put some of those funds towards it. I believe we could work with some of the foundations to help fund it as well. The mayor is very good with fundraising for things, so I know I'll be pushing the mayor to make sure that we can find something, not only just a recreation, because they're doing something in Jeff Chalmers right now, which is like a community center, but not really a recreation center because they don't have a pool and doesn't have a basketball court. We want something with a pool, with a basketball court that kids can go. We need supervised recreation, not basketball courts outside because anything can happen there. Some kids don't even feel comfortable going.
Right.
We need supervised recreation. I'm definitely big on that. Hopefully I can get that done within the first term.
I
Yeah,
love it. I
definitely.
And
love it.
I'm with you. I'd say even our seniors here are looking for a lot of different things in
Yep.
this District 4 in the neighborhood. They're looking for things. I mean, I talked to some people, some seniors, and it's just, oh, I wish I can go somewhere and just exercise, or I wish I can go somewhere and just kind of commune with other seniors. And
Yep.
I know they have them on the west side. I know I can't remember some of the names now, but I'm like, wow, how come we don't have one right here
Yep.
in our district, in District 4?
Yeah.
And also being that you're one of our next city council members, about the blight in our community, the blight, the trash, the just,
Illegal dumping.
oh my goodness, it seemed like at one point it seemed like it was getting better. Now it seems like it's just getting worse, especially with the illegal dumping. But
Yes.
even some of the blight that's going on around here.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think one of the things as a city council person we could do is to make sure that we're funding. I know it's like they've slowed up before. I don't know if that's because of COVID or what, but I noticed that a lot of the complaints you put into the system, the C-Click-Flicks, before they used to be a big thing. Like, let's get that addressed. Recently, I've seen it slow down. Like really, wow, it's really slowing down. I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So we need to put more funding towards that illegal dumping. We just passed proposal in to get the houses down. So I think we will see a little movement as it relates to that very soon. But we also need to, just address the people who are creating this blight and people are creating these nuisances. It's ridiculous. And I think I have an idea that, I hope nobody don't steal. But one of my ideas is create a chronic nuisance ordinance. So we have a nuisance abatement ordinance right now for our people that are like, they're not taking care of the homes. We need to amp that up even more. Take the properties. You can't do it. Again, you have to be very careful because, you got some people that try to fix houses. They really want to live there. So we'll give them like that leeway. But people are like out of state business people trying to just get and make money, sit on these properties. That we have got to address that once and for all. And we got to move that in a very like lightning speed. Like, hey, you've given a month to start making some movement. We shouldn't have to deal with this on a consistent basis.
And that's the thing too, is that you hit it right on the nail on the head. A lot of the people that have bought property here do not even live in the state.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have friends that are real estate agents, and they're talking about how some people have bought up blocks. Some people buying 2, 3, 4 houses. But when you say a whole block, and they don't even live in the state, some of them don't even see it. But then the houses sit, and no one's taking care of it.
Exactly.
Then you have, so then it becomes dangerous because now you have broken windows, or you have people that are in and out that's not supposed to be there, and it's
squatters.
It's really sad.
Yeah, and they don't care. And I don't understand what I'm intrigued to know, like, do they know? Like, I think some people get into it like, oh, it's a good investment property, but then they learn like, oh, this is not what I expected, so then they're like, oh, let me bag up out of it, or let me figure out a way to sell it or something. But we've got to figure that out. We cannot have people just sitting on properties here. We also can have people like creating nuisances on the block. Some of these people that are creating the nuisances are our neighbors. And so at a point, we got to address that as well. Are you deserving to be a neighbor? If you have 3 or more nuisance violations, if you partying I was talking to a lady on my walks, 88 years old. She says that they were playing the music so loud behind her at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning that she said she just got on her bed and sat at the edge of her bed and just waited for it to cease.
Yes. I have one neighbor here. One neighbor that's behind. We call him the neighborhood DJ, because it's like some nights it's like the whole neighborhood to hear.
So
we can't have it. Can't have that. We have got to address that. 3 or more, 3 or more of those situations, and I believe that the city should be pushing to forfeit your property, because you should not be able to run people out of the neighborhood because you're a nuisance. And you'll run people that's been in the neighborhood for 40 years out, and you'll be there as a renter for a year, 2 years. We can't have that type of stuff in the city.
And I would love to see block clubs coming back.
Oh yeah, gotta work on that. They gotta see stuff getting done. Once people start seeing stuff get done, they'll get more motivated to be like, you know what, I got to be involved, or I got to be on a block club because my block club really gets things done. And so, hoping to be their champion.
So switching gears again, I have a question about, so businesses are moving into the city. We seen the Chrysler throw up a plant, and they took over the whole St. Jean. That's still mind-boggling that St. Jean is gone. Like I
I
can't.
know it's
I don't.
unreal.
It's
It's
like
so unreal.
I
Yes,
don't
it
So
I don't
is.
unreal.
like it. I just don't like it. It is like, I understand business, whatever, but like, man, y'all just took out a whole street like that. As a police officer, and there's a train, something going on, you can hit St. Jean. Like, that's a cutoff to get from one side to the other side, and it's like it's gone. It's completely gone. I don't like that at all. But I guess where I'm going with this is that um, there's definitely a need for tax breaks for big companies to supposedly reel in jobs, whatever, for community people. So I got like a 3-part question. You're going to follow me on this one. So we say, okay, Chrysler's gonna hire 300 people, 400 people, and they're gonna be all from Detroit. The contract workers are all from Detroit. Um, I don't really see it. We see it go out, but then I wonder, like, what's the checks and balances? And I think that's something where they need to be held accountable, or they need to pay up. You know what I mean? Something, whatever. So I guess I just kind of want to touch on that. But I guess the question I'm really trying to ask is, where do you stand when it comes to using tax money or public funding for these stadiums and different things like that? You know what I mean? Little Caesars Arena was built. It's beautiful. It's definitely a jewel. I love it, but I'm not 100% sure that I agree with taking public funding on the sake of creating jobs, where that money could have went to the school district. That money could have went to the pension fund. That money can. It is. I just feel like we have to get to a place of full recovery, and then we can do stuff like that. But if you Big Joe, and Big Joe won the arena, then Big Joe need to build his own arena. You know what I mean? I'm really not for that, especially where we are. Not saying that it doesn't have a place. It does have a place. I think in some cases it is necessary to create jobs and stuff like that. But where do you stand on that, using public funding to build stadiums and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm man, you got all the good questions, and I appreciate this so much. There's this is a very complicated issue. Something I've learned is that I did not realize that. So there was a millage put in place
That's right.
that the city voted on, and it was for the libraries. But that money is now that I did just realize that money is used to give tax breaks to some of the businesses downtown, to give tax breaks to the stadium piece. And I was just like, wow. I was like, when somebody sent me this, I was like, that can't be true. I was like, we really got to look that up. And I'm really still like digging into that. Like, I don't know what and why is that okay, or how is that even possible. I am not against giving tax breaks. I am not against making sure that things that people receive tax breaks in order to create more jobs and create business. But I think it has to make sense. What needs to happen is we need to make sure that we are holding these businesses accountable, to making sure that they're out there doing what they said they're going to do. For example, the big problem with Little Caesars was they would not hire enough Detroiters, and they'll give you that same excuse. Well, there's not enough Detroiters out there to be hired, or there's not enough people in the pool, and we need to hold them to that standard, which I think the city has recently done with a lot of these different organizations when they come to the city. Like Chrysler, they had to hire District 4 Detroit residents first. After they done their deal with, of course they're part of the union, but after that they have to make sure they hire. And I believe that's important, that we hold their feet to the fire on what they're supposed to do for the community. So am I against tax breaks? Am I against bringing more businesses? Because I'll tell you right now, if somebody said Target was coming to District 4, people would love to see Target come to District 4. What will we have to do to get Target, though, would be the question. But I'm telling you right now, people would love to see it come. And people always say, hey, we need a big chain store here. We need something. So how do we make that happen in a feasible way that we're not selling and giving up everything for these organizations to come or these businesses to come?
You're watching and listening to Talking To with Joanne Toson Fuller, Justin Hearn. I am Rufus Bill. Our very special guest is Toson Knight, candidate for Detroit City Council, and this program is being engineered by the great Al Rogers, and we thank him for that. Tucson, it is no secret that the Detroit city, has a high illiteracy rate. How are you going to be able to engage people who cannot read, who cannot write, who feel that everything is lost? They kind of feel hopeless, and there is no trust in city elected officials.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one way to make sure that I feel like is what I'm doing now, being able to go door to door, talk to people. People can understand. They understand you getting stuff done for them. They understand that you're resolving their issues.
Yes, they do.
They understand when the police come, they call the police and the police come. They understand those simple things. And I think it's something to work on the back end with more programs, because I work with a lot of kids who just like, they struggle with reading. They don't want to read, of course. And I'm like, nah, you got to read, bro. And so I think like starting on the back end, that's a huge part of the work that I do, is letting them see their value in education. Like, you must be educated in order to make it out here. You really want to do something with your life. And as it relates to, the people that are already out there, it's making sure have jobs that pay. We have enough jobs that you don't need to be able to do, be technical, be computer savvy, or even be able to read that good in order to get these good jobs. I'm telling you. And that's why I think when I'm city council person, it's important to push for contracts and jobs that pay a living wage, so that these people can be able to support their families, take care of their families. But this is what I find, though. When people do get those good jobs, they leave the city. So the bigger question is, how do we keep them in the city?
Retain
them. Definitely.
How do we keep them? Because once they get that good check, then they move out. Right? They're like, no, we gotta sit here and deal with the foolishness every day. So we need to make sure that we're addressing their concerns, addressing their issues, that they feel comfortable enough to stay in the city. And that is how you know that you're doing good as a city public servant, when you are keeping people within the city. They don't want to move as soon as they get a good job that pays them good money.
I don't know if everybody was paying attention as Toson was breaking on down. He had to unbutton that collar. A man of the people. A man of the people. The new face in the old place. Detroit City Council. Did you hear him say, when I become? When I become city council member.
So Toson, how do you feel then about I know some of the departments were giving incentives for if you work in the city, that you move back into the city.
Yeah.
And I came up in the day. My husband works for the city, so it was, if you work for the city, you know the Coleman Young area, you automatically lived in the city.
Yeah.
And then when they opened that up, but now some of the departments are now offering incentives for their employees to move back into the city. So how do you feel about that? How do you?
Yeah, I know it. I feel like if you make your money here, it should feel, if it's good, we're good enough for you to make your money, it should be good enough for you to stay here. You feel me?
Yes.
And I agree with that. That is a state law that I don't know. Like I said, you come on here, we can say what we're gonna do. I don't know if that's a realistic goal to try to address, because I believe that it's important. Is it a winnable situation that we're dealing with? I feel that we need to find ways for people to move back to the city and give them incentives, as we try to do, like giving them 50% off on homes, on a good homes. We need to find ways to give you to move back in, because when you have city like Detroit police, and you have people that stay in your community, that's just a difference. It's a difference when your police officer stays next door to you. So if your house get broken into, somebody's going to come, somebody's there that can help right away, instead of they're coming from these suburban areas. It's unfortunate, and you really will hope that they'd be able to find ways to get people to move back to the city and stay in the city.
Toson, I want you to explain to everyone we know you're in District 4. Give us the location of District 4, where it is, what that all covers, and also tell us, how will your name appear on the ballot?
Yeah, sure. So it will appear just like it's on the screen, Toson Knight. So please, please, please vote for me. Tell all your neighbors. If you want me to come out and meet them, I'd love to. I've always done that. I've been focused a lot on knocking doors, not really doing events and things like that. I've been really focused on meeting people one-on-one,
the people,
talking to them. Yeah. And so, but the district, the boundaries of the district. I think you asked that right before I get you off. The boundaries of the district, it goes. So I would say, let me just help. It starts at about 94 in French.
Okay.
So you go down to about 94 in Ross, go all the way up to the river, and you are in the District 4. North of 94, go up to 7 Mile and Gratiot, you are in District 4. Go up to the city airport. The city airport is actually not in our district, but across from the city airport, where the homes and residential people, that is District 4. That's also District 4. If you go up to where else did I miss? So 7 Mile Gratiot, that's how I usually give it. 7 Mile Gratiot, all up to the waters, all up to the points, the different gross points, all up to the Harper Woods. That's all District 4.
Now I noticed of the candidates that are running in this district, and I know, and you know as well, that it's very important to have a relationship with the mayor. And seeing that you have that you were a district manager for the mayor, you may have a different type of relationship than the other people that are running in the district, which would be very important, because I know some of the people that are running, and I know that they haven't had favorable relationships with the mayor. So I think that puts you in a very good position. How good is the relationship that you have with Mayor Duggan, or as Aretha Franklin would say, Mayor Dugan, and in terms of improving District 4?
That's funny you said that, because whenever I remember I used to work with them and things, whenever somebody was about to disrespect them, they would call him Mayor Dugan. I'm like, oh yeah, this is about to be disrespectful. So let me say, that is actually a two-edged sword, because
I know
I have actually not received a lot, of like the endorsements because of that. People feel like I was too close to the mayor, and I always had to explain to them, if you know me, you know anything about my character, I'm my own man. People don't control me. People don't go behind the scenes and do me like a puppet. Like, I'm not that type of person. I've never been that type of person. I never will be that kind of guy. I'm just don't believe in that. I've always been like a man of my own. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to really do what I want to do. And then sometimes I've hurt me, I'll be honest with you, but I'm just not that kind of guy to be controlled by anybody. And I will not ever allow that to happen to me. Especially like, you're out here doing it for the people, to be honest. So I still have a good relationship with the mayor. The mayor has not, I've not asked for the mayor's support. He's not supporting me in this race. So I'm not asked or received for it. But what I believe is so important is that people should know is that no matter what happens, I'll always be my own man. I'll always be able to stand up for what I believe is right and stand up for the people. That won't ever change. That they have my word on, and that's no matter who supports me and who doesn't. And then what has been, I've thought about this, I've thought about this recently, because like with being out there, really not having much support from a lot of establishment and from like different people, it's been good, because you don't want to go in there with your agenda already set, because that does not make a good public servant when people have already committed you to everything. And that's what I notice a lot of these screenings do. They want to commit you to every single issue. And I don't believe, so I've had to be honest with people and let them know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm just not able to commit to that right now, because I need to be able to go in there, and as I can't go in there with my mind already made up, like that doesn't make a good, that's not a good legislator. That's not a good public servant. You go in there with the facts, and you understand the facts and understand how this issue impacts residents and how this issue will impact the residents of my district. And that's what I'll do on a consistent basis. I won't be in there, controlled by anybody and put on any type of agenda. I don't want these agendas. And I think that was nothing but God that has allowed me to get this far with, so little support from the establishments. And so that's been a cursing, and I feel like it's a blessing, because I can go in with the clean slate. I don't owe anybody anything or anything.
As we get ready to close this great interview, we're going to have Justin and Joanne. They're going to ask you a final question, and you all can take it away.
Justin, right. I see you ready.
Right,
Justin's
ready.
first, but I don't mind going. So I think first I want to commend you. I think I said this on camera, off camera, so I definitely want to say it on camera. Is that the thing that I love about you is that it's more than just a slogan. It's more than just vote for me. It's you're out here. The things that you do and the moves that you've made, I haven't seen a campaign in a long time that was this hearty, that was this affectionate, that was this personal. And from that, I think that translate that you are a person for the people, and I think that you're more than deserving of this opportunity. And I think I want to say just keep being real. Just keep being who you are. It's working. I see it. And like I said, you got my support 100%. But I think the question that I want to ask you is that if you had 30 seconds and you had every person, every voting person in District 4, if you had 30 seconds with them, what would you say?
Oh, you took me.
That was your question, Joanne.
That's
I
it.
was getting ready.
Well, that means I got 60 seconds now, right, guys?
Like a true politician.
Right.
I was like, no, he's not getting ready to do that. No, he's not. That's all right, Justin. That's all right.
I'll tell you, I'll just give you my spiel when I go to people's doors. I'll tell them, hello, my name is Toson Knight, and for 5 years, I worked in this area resolving people concerns and getting things done. And that's what I'll continue to do as a city council person. I've been able to push for more speed bumps. I've been able to push to get buildings torn down in front of abandoned houses. In front of schools. And last I told them, like, I've worked for Detroit Public Schools. I've worked with youth. I started a program from this ground up, and I've really made an impact in this city. So I ask that you please vote for me so that I can continue to make this impact and continue to get things done for the residents of the district.
All right.
Joanne, I got a question for you if you don't have one.
You have a question for me?
If you don't have one, another.
Oh, if you know what, Justin, I'm gonna give it to you.
Look,
We've missed
officer.
you. We've missed you. Come on, Justin.
Okay. All right. So, final question. Where do you stand with allowing, or what are your thoughts on allowing faith-based institutions to receive state and local funding to be a light to community members? Or what are you saying on that issue?
Yeah, I'm definitely. I'm part of a faith-based organization myself. My church, we're very involved, and I would love to also have, I would love to have support from the city, from the state. I think that's important as well. Today, I was out helping the Hope House. I don't know if you're familiar with that. They're on Marlboro, but
Yes.
a lot of their basements flooded. We're out there helping clean their basements and things like that. And these type of people, it doesn't matter about the church that they go to. It doesn't matter. They help everyone that is around in that area, and that's important. And we should be able to give them assistance as well.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Right.
Joanne.
So I would just, Justin, Tucson, I would just like to say thank you.
Thank you.
I've watched you from afar for years. I know you've seen me around.
Yes, ma'am.
Me,
Yes, ma'am.
at your functions and all that. And I've watched you for years. And like you said, Tucson is true to who he is. And you made the comment yourself, because we've been in meetings together, and sometimes Tucson brings up some stuff, and it's like, but he's honest. It's about just being honest. It's about being upfront, being forward. And sometimes it has hurt him, because sometimes people don't want to hear honesty. They don't want to hear truth. And so just from all these years, just watching you from afar, I truly believe that you will be an asset to the Detroit City Council. And especially if you stay your own person, if you stay who you are. And I know that, and I appreciate when you say, I'm going to go in with some things with an open mind, because I really need to hear, see, and listen. I really need to hear what people are, and so I really appreciate that. So I really do believe that you will be a true asset to the Detroit City Council. And I personally thank you for taking the time out today, because I know I see. Look, I'm on my next door neighbor app all the time.
Yeah.
I see how busy you are.
Oh
I
my
hear the
God.
comments. I read the comments that people are making about you. And
Wonderful.
so, like you were out there in that rain yesterday.
Yeah.
The gentleman said that,
Yeah.
so but I appreciate you taking the time out today to just be with us and to share some of who you are and some of what you stand for and believe in for the city of Detroit, especially in the District 4 area. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and that's definitely my heart. And I just actually, honestly, I just really want people to pray for me and really keep me in prayer, because this is politics and different things happen. You want to stay focused on the number one goal. One thing I will never forget this. What Lay told me when I first was it's two things. It was two things that I'll never forget. I remember I was working on somebody else's campaign, and I was like, and I made a remark, and I was like, hey, this person down there sleep and stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, but he know when to wake up. He said, the problem is, she said, the problem is we got people down there wide awake and they selling us out, So I'm like, wow, I never want to be that guy. And second, that's what somebody else told me as well. Like, just make sure you're always true to the people. And if you can't do that, you just can't, it's just not for you. And I really want to make sure that at the end of the day, when I'm done, if I win, if I don't win, at the end of the day, people can say that he always works for the people. He always was working hard and getting things done for the people. And if that can be said, I think we'll be good. I think we'll be able to get a lot of things accomplished.
My final question for you, that you have been such an inspiration to youth, to adults, to seniors. You have inspired them. You have changed their consciousness on how to become valued people, how to become winners, how to become champions.
Sure.
With everything that you have within, to do that kind of inspiration, Toson, candidate for District 4, Detroit City Council, how will you take these tools that you've mastered and these gifts to get a winning team for the Lions? How can you inspire the men in blue? I know you know.
Hey, I'm a basketball guy. The Pistons got the number one pick, so I'm looking forward to that. The Lions, that's just something to have me up and down on Sundays. So I just take it for what it is. My Sunday is gonna be up and down. I'll be frustrated, happy. It is what it is.
I thought we'd bring some little lightness to it. Listen, Toson, if someone wants to donate $500,000 to your campaign, where would they send that money?
Yeah. So they can't donate 500,000. They can donate 21.
Yes.
That's the top. But definitely look at TusonNight.com. We are in. By July 1st, we are going to be submitting our payroll information, not payroll, but like campaign finance statement.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we want to show a good bump. And we also, it's the last month. We need another 10,000 just to get through this month. And so I'm going to be pushing that out there on Facebook pretty soon. But we want to get another 10,000 so we can make it through this month, send out some more mailers, and stay in people's faces to make sure that they are voting for us. Come August 3rd, and as now they're getting their ballots now, so we want to also get them to vote for us right now.
Give us a phone number. Yeah,
313-510-8393. That's actually my cell. So we'd love to have you all come through on that. 313-510-8393. We'd love to hear from you. Anytime you want me to come to an event, anytime you want to talk to me, I'll always make myself available if I'm not knocking doors.
All right then. Well, we want to thank you so very much for
your wonderful
time and to be with us on Talking To. Justin and Joanne and I, we were excited about today's interview, and you did not fail to inform us and to tell us why Toson Knight is the person for District 4.
Yes.
Thank you all. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed this every bit.
Justin, I see you putting up your finger.
Yeah, be looking out for probably gonna DM you on LinkedIn. Be looking out for a message from me, okay?
All right, perfect.
All right, then we would like to thank everyone for joining in with us today for Talking To. We're going to run a couple of weeks from now, or next week, we're going to run some repeats just to reintroduce you to what Talking To is all about. And we're going to take just a quick break, but we're going to be live on some of these Sundays. So you just keep watching your posts on Facebook and YouTube for that. Once again, Al, thank you so very much for all that you do. Joanne and Justin, you all have a great Sunday evening.
You
You as
too.
well.
You too.
And
Yes.
thank you.
Oh man, this has been our
Justin, it's
pleasure.
good to see you again. I'm
Definitely.
telling you.
Good to see you.
Yes.
All right. Love
Greatly
y'all. Y'all
missed.
enjoy.
All right. Have a great day,
Have a
everybody.
good one.